Okay, take two. This time the mic is on. I'm such a dummy. But you know what? It doesn't matter because we're about to go ahead and talk about this amazing new news. Good morning, everyone. And this is a right time for me to say good morning because it is now almost 7 in the morning. I arrived home from work at 6 a.m. and came on right on it, only to not realize that I was did not record the audio for this, and so I have to do this again. Great, but that's fine. It's whatever because this is some content that I really am into, and I don't mind talking another like good 10 to 15 minutes about. And this is the news, and it is Nickelodeon creating a new studio that is for the Avatar series called Avatar Studios. And that is some pretty big news here. I mean, the last time we actually saw Avatar content or the possibility of Avatar content was when we had a confirmation of Netflix having its own live action series of the original series of the Avatar The Last Airbender. Now, that comes into a little bit of a question because of the fact that the owners of the original content creators of Avatar The Last Airbender decided to leave the project due to creativity concerns within it. Now, we are in a very interesting situation here, as this article from Entertainment Weekly has confirmed it, and of course, it has been sent by Nickelodeon Animation on Twitter itself, so you know that this is a legit thing. And I am very excited for it because if you haven't noticed from one of the few BSTs that I've made this month already, Avatar The Last Airbender is a part of my childhood. It has been something that I loved watching when I was growing up. It was something that both myself, my brother, and my sisters, and my own mom all were into it. We loved everything about the series. We loved everything about the characters when it comes to the original series. So this is huge for me because I think that this is something that I'm very excited to witness and all that stuff. So let's go ahead and look into the main article and see what it really says about it here. So, Nickelodeon is launching Avatar Studios, a new division to create original content spanning animated series and movies based on the world of Avatar The Last Airbender and The Legend of Korra. The network announced Wednesday during Viacom CBS's Investor Day presentation. Original creators and executive producers Michael DiMartino and Mario Konitsko, hopefully I said that right, will lead the studio as co-chief creative officers. The first project is already lined up, an animated theatrical film set to begin production this year. That is some huge news here for not just Nickelodeon, but also Avatar fans and just everything throughout. This is a huge plus because there's so many things coming into this whole new studio. The first thing I want to talk about is really just the job opportunity itself within Avatar Studios. Now, as you already know, something we talked about earlier this month, Blue Sky Studios was shut down by Disney. And that was some very unfortunate news, and it really comes to the question of what's going to happen with all of these creators who were very passionate of what they wanted to do at Blue Sky. Now they have an opportunity to possibly kind of jump ship from Disney to Nickelodeon to work on Avatar, which honestly I think is a really good thing to do. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that that's a confirmation that they're trying to do. Obviously, I don't think any company is trying to let people know whether or not they're trying to take talent away from their opponents and stuff. It just usually happens, but I think that that's something that you can easily speculate here because of the timing of these in a little bit. Now, I do think that obviously they're not just making it to try and steal some small things from Disney here and there. I'm not saying that at all, but I'm just saying that it's a very convenient timing, and it's really good for animators all around because now there's more opportunities for animators and showrunners alike to possibly like jump on this and really help create more content within this wonderful universe in the Avatar series. And that's something I'm really looking forward to. So that's just kind of really looking at it from like the behind the scene angles. Now I want to talk about something, what I would be very interested in when it comes to the world building of the Avatar series, of the character building, or the world building in general. So let's go ahead and start off with some Legend of Korra content that I think could be something that they could really focus on with these animated movies or series. And I feel like that they should kind of make a movie about the relationship of Korra and Masami. Now, I do want to say this first and foremost when it comes to why I want to see this content, and it's because I really didn't feel like that they did a very good job at building up that relationship in the original run of Legend of Korra. Now, I'm not saying that Korra and Masami are a terrible couple. I'm not gonna say that at all. I think that it's a fine relationship to really like blossom. It's just that we didn't really see the blossom, or at least I didn't really read it as a blossom of love of some sort. I just thought they just developed into really close friends after being dealt a dirty hand by their ex in Mako, because they dated him in like different occasions within the series, and it was just a cluster, man. That love triangle was a mess, especially in season 2. It was just bad. But I digress. I do think that it's not more so the writers themselves not knowing how to really portray that relationship or really try to build that relationship, but I think it's more so the fact that it was Nickelodeon itself not really liking the idea of a gay couple. Because remember, the show came out at around 2012, and the idea of homosexuality was still kind of like new within the entertainment industry. I'm not saying that gay relationships has not been seen before, but I think like gay relationships that has not been seen as a serious thing. Like Steven Universe was just getting into it a little bit in the early goings, and that was kind of like the only one that really pushed it pretty hard, if I recall correctly. Like my memory is kind of like foggy about that, but around that time when Korra came out, between 2012 and 2014, the LGBT community was just getting represented in a more serious manner within television shows in general, especially within the animation community. So there was still some hesitation on a lot of the major companies' part to really portray those, because they were afraid that parents would get a little bit uppity about it and would just like cut off from watching certain shows entirely because of what they're trying to represent. Now in 2021, that has completely changed for the better. Now we're seeing a whole lot more LGBT representation, and that's a really good thing. And I think this is a primary opportunity to really build that relationship between Korra and Masami in a more proper way, at least what I presume to be a more proper way, being able to push the idea that they were interested in each other and things like that. So really trying to make a spin-off or a movie based on them really finding that attachment is, I think, is something that I would love to see on the Korra side of things. Another thing that I would like to see is kind of a spin-off series for a dude that I just mentioned earlier within that mess of a love triangle, Mako. Now, I know what you're thinking. Yes, Mako is not a good person. He's not a good person at all with how he has treated both Korra and Masami within those relationships. He was really bad with them. He was very abusive. It was just a no-go for me when it came to Mako. I will be lying to say that I really was interested in the character during Korra's run. And I was really hoping to see him kind of have that little bit of a redemption arc and kind of be able to kind of find himself in a way more so, but I didn't really feel like they really touched that much because they did want to continue pushing the main story plot for Korra, since they kind of built a little bit differently compared to the Last Airbender, which he had like multiple villains to deal with throughout the Korra's run, compared to Aang just having to focus on one. So that's something that I honestly would like to see Mako kind of have a redemption arc of his own, really have him build him into being a likable character again, because I do think that he was a likable character in the early episodes of season 1, because he was a cool character. He was somebody that looked like a badass, and I think that could be something to bring him back to that status, while also be able to kind of humanize him a little bit, make him more likable than what he was during the original run. It was something that I think could be a cool thing to see. Now, swapping over to the Last Airbender side of things, the first thing that really comes into mind when it comes to what I would like to see in that spectrum is a spin-off series talking about the origin of Azula in a way, or like what happens to Azula after where everything was all said and done. Because the last time we saw her within the television series anyway, we saw her wailing and crying in pain and stuff like that. She's having that mental breakdown. That's the last we've seen of her. So obviously she's detained somewhere. I just don't know where. I know that there's plenty of comics about her backstory, but your boy don't have time to read. I'm sorry. So I would love to just see it be animated and really see how she was able to grow and maybe have a bit of an arc of a redemption of her own, because Azula is a very polarizing character. She's somebody that you know, like, she's one of the first people you can think of when it comes to the Last Airbender side of things. So I think focusing on her would be very interesting to see. Another one that I would like to see it's kind of a mix of both in a way, but really on Aang and his crew side of things is the origins of Republic City, like how Republic City has really built. Because I was very curious as to like the reasoning why they decided to pretty much give like a central base for all the nations to coexist in Republic City, and how it was like going through that. That might be a little bit boring, but I feel like having that kind of layer of world building would be very interesting, to seeing like, oh yeah, the gang wants to create Republic City because they want to be able to try and find a way for all the nations to come together and really have those heart-to-heart discussions, whether it's dealing with trades and stuff, or being able to hash out like territorial issues and things of that nature. And I think that Republic City being that central base was a really smart idea when it came to Korra, because it was seen as like the main go-to when it comes to making sure that everything is peaceful, everything is fine, and all that good stuff. But I think it could be cool to see if there were people who were against the idea, who wanted to make sure that Republic City did not happen, and how that came to be. So I think that could be something interesting that they could dive into, is how the Last Airbender crew build Republic City into what it is today. And that's something that could be pretty sweet to look at. But I do have one more thing, actually. If this goes out very, very well with the Avatar Studios, if this does what I think it's going to, I feel like it's going to be on the level of SpongeBob when it comes to like recognition of the Nickelodeon brand. Now, I'm not saying that, when it comes to content, SpongeBob and the Avatar series are two completely different fields when it comes to like the interest and what their target audience is. However, I do think that if this brand be able to like wove into the way I think it is, I think that they could consider bringing in a third Avatar to talk about. And I'm not talking about like doing a series of an Avatar in the past. I'm more so thinking of actually having another like futuristic setting to talk about a earth-bending Avatar. Because we already have the air one with Aang, and we already went to the water one with Korra. Now it is an earthbender's turn to be an Avatar. And I feel like that this could be an opportunity to say, like, what if the Avatar was in our world, our present day? And I think that could be really cool to really witness how the world kind of transitioned into that modern day era that we know and love every day, and how to make that look more futuristic with the bending abilities. Because as we saw with Korra, like, what is considered to be like the 1920s, 1930s is what I'm assuming. It was very like cyberpunkish. So I'm curious to see what they would do with our setting of the 2020s within the Avatar world. Now, it'll be interesting to see what kind of issues they kind of tackle here, since there's so many things you can look into when it comes to that idea. But it does leave the door open for a lot of things. But I don't think it's going to happen like automatically. I feel like it'll probably be like a 5-year plan or something like that. So whether or not it actually happens, you never know. Like, obviously I'm not saying that it will happen. None of this stuff is really confirmed. This is just me like wishful thinking at this point. But I still am very excited to see what is going to happen. But that's all I have when it comes to talking about Avatar Studios. Obviously, I'm very excited for it. I would love to hear what you guys think, and I will have to say thank you guys so much for the love and support you have guys given me this past month. We've been able to skyrocket to 600, and now we're going to be talking about the road to 1K. And yes, I really want to be able to push that as much content out for you guys, be able to get those watch hours up as well as the sub count up, so that way I'll be able to focus on this as the years goes on, because I really want to build this channel up as much as I can and really give you guys something very fun to deal with, be able to be more interactive with you guys. And the only way I can do that is, of course, is for you guys to go ahead and share this around, subscribe, and hit the bell notification and watch all the way through, so that way I'll be able to get into the partnership program and be able to open up to interact with you guys even more with the community tab and stuff like that. And I think it'll be really fun. So thanks again for watching. I hope to see you guys in the next video, and it's gonna be fun. So I'll see you later. Ah!